Hello again, thanks for choosing us. Now, Ghana's public education system has been knocked down onto its knees as workers in the field declare an indefinite strike over government's failure to pay up their cost of living allowance. The workers, made up of TEWU, NAT, NAGRAT and CCT, have for months now been demanding that 20% of their basic salary be paid to them as COLA. Now, this to help mitigate the impact of the rising cost of living on them. But after June 30 deadline was exhausted, the workers have withdrawn their services both in and out of the classroom. Manuel Cranton reports.
These are angry workers in Ghana's educational sector who say they will no longer endure the current harsh economic conditions without any cushioning from government. They want to be paid a cost of living allowance of up to 20% of their basic salary, a request government has failed to meet. To press home their demands, they say they are compelled to abandon their post. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of Ghana National Association of Teachers.
By the high level of inflation in the country, the incessant skyrocketing prices of fuel, goods and services have eroded the already woefully so-called salary increase granted us. We are very much appalled at the inaptitude of the government relative to our call for COLA. We have severally on different platforms and times made this call which fell on deaf ears of government. We have decided to embark on a strike action effective today.
Behind these demands are real people who took up the teaching job to make impact. Many of them, like Vida Sapabil, are regretting.
Everybody is struggling. Now it is better. 2 months ago, I was buying 1 tomatoes for 2 cedi. So if I prepare banku and I want to grind pepper to eat, I have to go and buy 1 tomatoes for 2 cedi. I regret taking to teaching. I have classmates. After SSS, they didn't continue their education. They went straight to the army. One of them is a WO right now, as I speak. And he's taking 8,000 plus at the end of every month. I have gone to training college, I've gone to the university, done my first degree, done my master's, and I'm still roaming around 2,000. How do I survive? They call for old school meeting. I don't go. The living conditions are 2 different things. When they are come, they are excited, they are talking, and maybe they bring along food and drinks and they are chilling, more relaxed. I can be there, but I won't be relaxed. So I don't even go at all.
Another teacher at the Akrabong Basic School in the Central Region, Amos Amwako, feels neglected by the state, which contracted him to help build future leaders.
I sometimes run my household on loans, and it is not a wise way of living. Because if you are going to take a financial facility or a loan, it should be used for developmental activity. But you go for loans and then you spend it at home. Then you pay interest on it. Then your existence is not even profitable. You don't even feel like you are even existing. If a better job comes, why not? Because a graduate teacher taking home around 2,000. When you do second degree, GES will tell you that they don't recognize it. And the cost of training, courses at the universities are very expensive now. Somebody goes through to do a second degree, and you tell the person that the second degree is not needed at the pre-tertiary level. So then the cost of entering into that course you will not get any productivity out of it. So if a better job comes, why not?
Like Vida and Amos, all workers in the educational sector in NAT, TEWU, CCT and NAGRAT have been called to proceed on strike, effective immediately.
By this, we are informing the general public that we are withdrawing all our services in all the pre-tertiary education space. Yes. These include teaching and non-teaching staff.
The only thing that will get them back to work is the payment of their COLA. Manuel Cranting, Joy News, Accra.
Officer Samoa is the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, and he joins us on the phone. Thank you very much, Mr. Samoa, for joining us on Joy News Prime. Now, the unions have been on a campaign for about weeks now, demanding the payment of this allowance. Have their concerns come to your attention at all? And how are you addressing them at your level?
Formally, they have not written to us, but we've heard of it, just like any other Ghanaian in the that they're calling for cost of living allowance, and they are calling on the government and their employers to grant them same. That much we have heard of it. It was until this late afternoon that we heard of the declaration of the strike. By a press conference, we have received a copy of their press release. That's after they had declared a strike. And we have accordingly, begun working on it.
At this point, what would you say about the legality of the actions they've taken?
Well, calling for cost of living allowance from their employers because things are hard, the Labour Commission, as we sympathize with them, and we even sympathize with ourselves. We all go to the same market. But then, any consequent action arising therefrom we want to take as a result of the difficulty we are going through should be within the space of law and time. So we have written to the ministry and, for that matter, government, to quickly engage them and try to solve the issue and look at their request. And they have also been advised to rescind their decision to go on the strike. In as much as we agree that they have the consent, we urge them to rescind their decision to go on strike.
Well, the unions, they are warning already, Mr. Samoa, that they won't yield to any pressure to return to the classroom unless COLA is paid.
Yes, we are not we haven't put any pressure on them. We have written to them, advising them. That is why I started by saying that. In as much as we sympathize with them, of course, living standards are common knowledge to everybody, including you and I who live in Ghana and we are attending to the same market. So we sympathize with them. We are aware of the situation. But then, what we as a commission are concerned with is, yes, strike police are very legal. As a worker, they have the right to declare a strike to pursue their demands, except that there are steps to the declaration of the strike. That is what we want to advise them to go and operate within the law.
And so if your advice is not heeded, what happens, Mr. Samoa?
Oh, why would you want to think if it's not heeded? But what about if it is heeded?
Well, they made it clear that they are not going back. They are not rescinding on this decision.
We will try to. It's a matter of engaging them. They have said they will not go back. But perhaps after the engagement, they will go back.
And very finally, as a Labour Commission, how are you positioning yourself in the face of the IMF program, which may kick in should government negotiations with the fund succeed? There are many demands from Labour. As a commission, how are you positioning yourself to engage Labour going forward?
Well, at the moment, we will handle each case on its merit as and when they come before the commission. I'm unable to put a general rule or application to how we will handle cases when they come. You handle them as they become considered on its merit.
Well, I'm grateful for your time. That's Ofosua Samoa. He's the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, is also warning government ahead of its engagement with the International Monetary Fund that it will not tolerate any IMF conditionality that negatively affects the existing agreement between government and UTAG to improve their conditions of service. Now, the university teachers in a statement said, although it is ready to provide technical support, government must ensure that decisions taken will not be to the disadvantage of labor unions, especially UTAG. Let me bring you details of that statement that was released just this evening. And it says the University Teachers Association has cited the statement from the Ministry of Information with reference dated 1st July 2022 and signed by the Honorable Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, in which the President of Ghana has authorized the Minister of Finance to commence formal engagement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. It continues by saying, typically, an IMF program may result in fiscal discipline, which aims at cutting down on excessive expenditures by the government and may help in government to focus on revenue generation to propel the economy to a path of steady growth. It is important to note that between 1966 and 2015, Ghana has been to the International Monetary Fund 16 times to seek support to address the country's economic problems. Indeed, within the Fourth Republic and over the last 30 years, this will be the 6th time the country is going to the IMF for support. This means that, on average, Ghana seeks the support of the IMF every 5 years to address its economic problems. Therefore, it is safe to deduce that resorting to the IMF all the time is not a sustainable way of dealing with our country's economic problems. Consequently, the country cannot continue to resort to the IMF for support every now and then. UTAG says, as a labor union that trains and produces the nation's workforce, including those involved with providing the requisite policies for economic growth and development in the country, UTAG would have preferred government to seek homegrown solutions to our economic woes. This is premised on our recent and pleasant history of previous engagement with the IMF, with us feel uneasy with government's decision given its potential negative impact on UTAG members and by extension public sector workers and its repercussion on the operations of public universities. The fifth paragraph says, as an association whose membership includes some of the best and world-class experts across all sectors of the economy, we think that the time has come to comprehensively diagnose the root causes of the recurrent problems that always lead to us to the IMF and proffer solutions that can permanently address the problems for inclusive and sustainable development in our country. UTAG believes we need homegrown policies developed by home-based experts and implemented by home-based practitioners. It then goes on to talk about why government must take its demands seriously. Let's go on to Zoom now and speak to UTAG President, Professor Solomon Nunu. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Joy News Prime. So you urge government to take advantage of this IMF program to develop a comprehensive program that would deal with the structural issues of the economy. But then you end up warning government about your conditions of service. How exactly do you expect government to walk this tightrope?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. It's important that government at this time, whatever arrangement that government will come up with, do consider the plight of workers also at the same time. And that's the reason why we believe that at this point, we can help to prefer solutions that would find a lasting solution to the problems that bedevil the country at the moment. So it's important that we do find solutions to those problems. Yes, we are now in a situation where it's clear that we are now going to the IMF, but we need to make sure that we come up with a comprehensive solution that will solve our problems.
But expenditure cut is a major component of any IMF program, and that definitely has its own repercussions, as you admit in your statement. Your conditions of service may be affected. We are not clear yet on what the program entails, but it may be affected. And so why is UTAG not positioning itself, given the knowledge it has of the economy and what the program is likely to look like, to help government achieve this program, the targets that will be set by the fund?
It's early days yet, and you will agree with me also in our statement that we have reiterated the fact that we are open to government and ready to assist government in coming up with solutions that will help will be lasting, because at this time we find ourselves in a position whereby we have gone to the IMF on countless occasions. However, with the number of times that we have gone to the IMF, the solutions that have come have not been able to stand the test of time. So the last time we were there was about 2015. 7 years down the line, we are back again. It means that whatever solution they are preferring may not be lasting, and that is why it's taking us to this point. And that's why we asked that let's sit and find homegrown solutions put together by our experts and then implemented by our experts. We believe that is the way to go. And we can go to IMF with a position that this is what we believe would help. And then we will all sit and judge with the IMF and come with a lasting solution.
And we'll come to the IMF solutions proper. But, Professor Nunu, are you willing to, for instance, postpone payment of some of these allowances and conditions of service should government commit to pay later with timelines?
Whatever decision government would have to make that will affect public sector workers, it's important that they do sit with public sector workers to make decisions. However, if government should take unilateral decisions, then you'll expect that definitely we will all vehemently oppose to whatever decision that would come. So it's early days yet. We believe that whatever it is, we all need to sit and judge. And we believe that we need to take a central role in finding solutions to what is happening in the country at the moment. We've gone there time again. Let's find solutions that can stand the test of time.
Well, Prof, I want you to hold on for me briefly. Let's speak to a labor expert, Austin Game. He joins us also via Zoom. Mr. Game, I'm grateful that you could join us here on Joy News Prime. So labor is bent on demanding its pound of flesh, and some have even warned government going into next year, like UTAG. As government begins engagement with the IMF, what do you advise it should do in order to meet the expectations of labor and manage the situation?
Thank you. I'm grateful. I'm actually surprised that to date, if they've been having meetings behind the scene, that's fine. But there has to be conscious effort to ensure that inclusion that is already a part of the directive principles of state policy in the Constitution of Ghana do not become a figure of speech. It's very important that at this point in time, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations take the center stage and get around it the ministries of finance and that of education, who are the big players in this matter now, to sit and lead the conversation, not argument, not debate. Because if you go for debate, there'll be a loser and there'll be a winner. They should have a simple brainstorming session and ensure that they all come out with consensus as to, it's about money. IMF programs are not new to Ghana, as have been alluded to by all of them. The comprehensive report from Senche is still lying there. I don't think that anybody is going to write anything extraordinary outside that, to be very honest with you, because it's quite a contemporary type of thing. And I would like to suggest strongly that the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations immediately, if I were to be them, to be honest with you, 24 hours, there will be a meeting so that they can have a good conversation about the subject matter on hand now and not assume that because IMF is coming, the people will just yield to it. There could be some way out. They may not pay cola because cola is very expensive, we all know. If they're going to pay it even for 1 year, what really to mean is that we will be taking ourselves back into some level of inflation we will not tolerate in this country. Okay. So it's important that they have a meeting with them. Is there any other alternative? I think there is. Is there a risk if we pay it the way they want it paid? Yes, there is a risk. All these conversations should be held so that they will have a consensus going forward, because they are also leaders. Professor Solo and his colleagues are leaders. The UTAG, the teachers' unions, they are all leaders. Their members are pressurizing them. They need to have a comprehensive information to give to them. Something can be done. I strongly believe something can be done, but how it to be done is subject to the conversation. But
how about the other side, labor? In these negotiations, how should they approach it, given the circumstance?
it depends on the employer. If they get to the meeting and you are very honest and open, and you speak not down them, which I believe my colleagues will not do, and they lay clear-cut things on the table. Look, we have received X amount of money so far. This is how we spend it. And they are all notable people. They know the union leaders today are not like yesterday. They know exactly what the figures are. They can read and write. Right. And so it's important that they are open, just as it was done in 2015. That's how come there was some serene atmosphere. I was present with UTAC people at home. I was present with them at Senchi. And I think that they are very notable people. They know exactly, the teachers know exactly what to do. They should go to the meeting. Government 100% open as an employer, not as government in partisan cloak. And ensure that every number is accounted for in that meeting. Then they can profile what kind of solution they will have to have. Perhaps they may go for some tax tweaking, because if you go for tax tweaking, you're not going to borrow money to pay interest and cost us more money. All this is available, so it's up to them to go to the table and have a conversation on it.
Mr. Game, I'm grateful that you could join us. Professor Nunu, just a final one on this. What form of technical support are you willing to provide government on this IMF program?
So we are looking at the economics level. Currently, what are the numbers saying, as Mr. Game is alluding to? So currently, we believe that we should sit at the round table. Let's look at let's look into the books. Let's see what is there, and then we find solutions to them. So economically speaking, what do we need to do? Our balance of payments. We read the budget that there's a budget deficit of about 37 billion Ghana cedis. We've done some spending cuts so far, what has come in, and what is the deficit that we need to account for. The last IMF program asked for about 5% in terms of the budget deficit. So what are we doing at the moment? So these are the numbers we need to talk to. Then we'll see how best to be able to find a lasting solution to this. We can't keep going round the circle and expect the same solution.
Thank you very much. That's Professor Solomon Nunu, his president of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, and talking about